in the middle of Kuf Tes Vav Amud Beis. So what we got up to is an Aleph and the Vach, and I think we're actually going to skip. We're gonna go with the box changes and skip the next few words. But let's do a quick summary of what happened until now. So the Mishnah said that if someone's jar, you ready, everyone? Okay. The Mishnah said in a case there's two people traveling. One has wine, one has honey. The honey container sprung a leak, and the owner of the wine dumped out his wine to save the honey. We said that he gets paid as a worker if he says, "I'm doing it on condition that you pay me the full value of my wine," then he is obligated to pay him that value. And we asked the question, why can't he just keep the honey entirely? And why does he need to give up any, why are we talking about how much he gets paid? He should just get to keep the honey. Said because it wasn't getting ruined so quickly. The honey was not going to fall out so quickly. The leak was at least somewhat stable, and that's why it wasn't an automatic loss. That it was hefker that he could take it. And then we quoted that. Sorry, before that we quoted a case that someone has jugs of wine or oil that broke and they're on the way down. You can't make them truma, and if you did, it doesn't work. So you see that it's ownerless. Then we had a contradiction with that. It said that that you can't, if it's breaking, you can't use it as truma. You don't have the ability to make something truma while it's broken. So he said if someone's traveling and he sees that he's about to get robbed, he can't use that money to redeem his meiser. But if he does do it, it works. So he answered that's like talking about a case where he could save with effort, he could save. So a case where you could say with effort, then it works if you did it. If there's nothing you can do to save it, but it's not getting ruined immediately, but it's still that that you can't save it yourself, that's where we say it doesn't work. And if it's getting ruined immediately, then it's not even considered yours at all. So now we have a new question. So the question is, what is a new question? So the Gemara says one thing, and the box says no, it's a mistake, and then he changes Rashi to reflect the new mistake. So I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna go with the way the Bach reads it. So we're gonna skip. We're up to it. There's an aleph in the middle of the page. We're up to it where there's an aleph here in parentheses about 13, 15. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 lines down, there's an aleph in parentheses, and that aleph says take out that word in the whole next line. So we're going to skip there. We're going to ask. We'll start with the brisa on the following line that says v'hatanya. Haven't seen that spot there?
I haven't come in. I'm going to open up my marvelous technology that makes me slower than you guys. Please continue, Rabbi.
Okay, fine. So like I said, about roughly 20 lines down, we have a brisa. And the way the Bach reads it, by skipping that line, we're asking a question going back to the basic Mishnah. We're not asking a question. It's not so much on the previous discussion, it's on the basic Mishnah. So right here it says Vatanya, 20 lines down. So first 20 lines Vatanya. So we say we're skipping, the Bach takes out a line, so we're skipping the next line where we finished off yesterday and going to Vatanya. So Vatanya, but the Brisa says, he had 10 barrels of tevel that's tameh. Now, tevel you can't eat because you have to separate truma and meiser. And the first thing you have to give is truma. Truma is given to a kohen to eat. If it's tameh, you're not allowed to eat truma. So right now, tevel that's tameh is inherently something that's challenging because you have to separate truma, and there's not much you can do with that truma. And you saw one of these 10 barrels is broken, ocean is galus, or it got uncovered. And there used to be concern that snakes would come and drink for something right after they had bit someone, and there's still poison floating on their teeth, and the poison is going to go into liquid, and a person could end up eating it. And so therefore, in general, you're not allowed to eat any liquids, or at least certain categories of liquids that were left uncovered for any period of time without supervision, because there may be some poison in them. That used to be a major concern. All opposed can say today it's not a concern, but it used to be a major concern. Why it used to be such a concern, but anything that's revealed, you cannot drink it. We're going to see there are a lot of other things you can't do with it because of the risk of danger is so great. So you have one of these barrels either broke or it got revealed and therefore can't be drunk, even though it's still intact, but you can't really do much with it. Omer, he can say, he trumas meiser al tisha chavrusel. You can say, I'm making this the truma's meiser on 9 other ones. So there's produce that grows in Eretz Yisrael. So the first thing you have to separate is truma. That's a small amount on Torah level. It's any amount at all. You give to a Kohen. So if it's tummy is going to ruin, you could just give a teeny bit to a Kohen. You don't have to worry about giving. Normally, you're supposed to give a more significant amount. But if it's tummy and going to get ruined anyway, then there's no point giving a higher amount. So but the next thing is Meiser Rishon, the first Meiser. That's 10% of what's left after you give a little bit to a Kohen. That's given to a Levi, and that can be eaten if it's tummy, so that's not a problem. Now, of that 10%, however, 10% of the 10%, meaning 1% of what was left after you gave Truma, that's given to a Kohen, and that is the same status as Truma. And that's a set amount. There's no way to avoid that amount. So we're talking about...
Is that what the Levite gives to the Kohen from his portion?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right, got it.
Right. So here it sounds like that's what we're talking about. We have 10 barrels that are all... They're tevel because they haven't had Trumas Meiser taken from them, but they actually are Meiser. These are it sounds like it's 10 barrels of Meiser that you have that you need to separate Trumas Meiser from still. And you can say, so it says you're allowed to say this barrel that broke or that got revealed, this is the Trumas Meiser and everything else, since anyway the Kohen's not going to have much use of it, so we're not worried about ruining what the Kohen's income because it's coming anyway. You can't do anything with it. So you can say, "Hooray, Omer, hooray! He trumas meiser al tisha chavrusel." You say this is trumas meiser on the other 9 other ones. However, shemen, when it comes to oil, lo yasek, you can't do that. And they have Kohen because you're running the Kohen. You're also allowed to burn truma. So if truma is tameh, there's not a problem with burning it. And so wine as a fuel source is not particularly valuable. Wine does not burn very well. It could dry it out and burn it, and there is some use as a fuel source, but it's not worth it. Oil as a fuel source is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with lighting candles with truma that's tameh if it's for oil. You can't eat it, but you can use it to burn candles. So if you're talking about wine or various other things that have truma, then yeah, we're not worried. If once it's tameh, we're not worried about the Kohen getting it. So go ahead and make it trumas meiser. But for oil, you don't want to do it. But you see that even though it's getting ruined right now, you are allowed to make it trumas meiser. You don't say that it's completely ownerless and you have no ability to make it trumas meiser. Before we said that once it's ruined, it's not considered you own it anymore. Here it sounds like you do still own it, and as long as you're not hurting the Kohen, then you're allowed to do it. So now here's where we had the original statement of Rabbi Yehuda says when the clamp of the base of the olive press was on it, therefore was not getting ruined so quickly. So we quoted this earlier. We said just like Rabbi Yehuda said it elsewhere, you could apply it over here. This is the original statement of Rabbi Yehuda. We said that idea that since the some kind of clamp is on it, it's for sure going to get ruined, but it's getting ruined slowly. So you have at that point it's not considered ownerless, and you can make it trumas meiser, but not with oil. You shouldn't do it because you're going to lose the value of the money to the Kohen. Now we just said, however, one of the examples is if it's revealed. So that what Ravir's answer is that it explains when it's broken, then that's not ruined yet because the clamp is on. What about if it's revealed? Then there's nothing to do it. So it says if it's broken, you can still use it now because it hasn't gotten ruined yet. Ellen is galsa, but in the case when it got revealed, the my chazi, what's the point? What good is it? It's heatim, and maybe you'll say chazil is ziluf. They can do something called ziluf. Now ziluf, I'm not figuring exactly what it is. It sounds like you have a wine. If you pour wine on fire or something like that, there's a certain way to pour it, and you benefit from the smell. The smell of burning wine or something. You benefit from it. It's sort of a form of eating. form of benefit from it that you get without even eating it. So like you burn it. I don't know exactly what you're doing. You're pouring it, and I think pouring it and using it up at the same time. I think it involves a fire.
Maybe they're talking about sprinkling it on the floor for the scent.
Let's think on the floor. Okay, so you put it on the floor and let the water evaporate. So it's destroyed and you have to ruin it in the process, but you're getting some kind of benefit from it. So if it's maybe you'll say with a certain drink from it, you're worried about the poison. Okay, so you don't drink it. You can pour it on the floor and you can get the benefit from it.
What's the first line we're on?
Lamai chazia. Lamai is the first word.
115b.
Yeah.
3.
Oh, really? Oh,
Right at the kind of the second line at the bottom of the gray line.
okay. Thank
You said Lamai chaz was good for chita. Maybe you'll say chaz if you do it for zila, pour on the floor and evaporate and get the sense of it. Tanya, but the Brisa says, "Ma'im shenis galu." You have water that was revealed. You cannot pour it out on the street, the public domain. The Alabama is din. You cannot even mix concrete with them. You can't use it to pour on the ground and smooth the dirt. They used to have dirt floors. So when it got too dry, you'd pour water on it to make the dirt stay so it wouldn't get everywhere. You cannot feed it to your animal. Your animal could drink it, and then you might eat it and it could be poisonous. Not someone else's animal. So you see you can't pour it out. You can't use it for ziluf either. So then what's the point? Once it's been revealed, then what's the point? Well, answers. The other labim you can filter it. You can filter it, and the poison will come out in a filter. Rabbi Nehemiah said the Tani, because Rabbi Nehemiah said, if you have some kind of filter, you have basically two vegetables on top of each other. The top one is getting, and then there's a filter in between them. So the top one has holes in it, and it's filtering the liquid to the bottom one. So Misanenes, you have this filter system. Still there's a problem being revealed. Nehemiah says, when is it true that there's a problem with the filter? The bottom one is uncovered. Now you might have thought that if the bottom one's uncovered, it would chase the sound of it dripping, chase away the snake, and then you don't have to worry about it. So he said, no, if the bottom one's uncovered, the snake might come and drink it, and it could be a problem. But if the bottom one is covered, even the top one is uncovered, there's no problem being revealed. The poison of the serpent is sort of like a sponge that's soft and it floats, and it'll stand in its place, will not go through this filter. And so you see that if it's revealed, there are things you can do to fix it up. Even though, so it's not as nearly as valuable because right now it's poisonous, but there's certain things you can do to filter it out and it'll be okay. And I say, hold on, they're not so fast. La Vitmorla wasn't said about that idea of using a filter. Amar Simon, Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Levi, you can only filter it if you haven't stirred it or shaken it or anyway moved it around that it would get mixed up. But if you moved it around and mixed it up, then it'll get broken up and then the filter will no longer work, so it won't help. So and in this case, since it's already in a vessel, but when you pour it out, that's going to stir it out. It's going to stir it out as you're pouring it, and then filtering won't help. So it makes sense to say filtering when it's already set up in a filter, then it's going to get filtered automatically without moving it. But if you have to pour it out, the filtering is not going to work. So my answer is Hasam Nami. In this case, also, it's after it's possible. You can put some kind of filter on the edge, the chavisa of the barrel, the shafile, and then pour it through it, and so it'll go gently. So put some kind of screen right at the edge and just gently tip it over. So as it goes through, it's going to get filtered. For sure, you can't pour into a new vessel because by the time you pour, the liquid coming in is going to mix up everything else that's there already. But if you filter the edge of the barrel, and as you pour it, filters it, that would work. So it's still useful, doesn't have full value, but you still have some use from it. So you're allowed to make it, so you can make it for wine he's not going to use anyway, then you can make it on Chumas Meiser, so that it technically has some use, but it's technically has some use. Okay, now we're asking for Nehemiah, but we're asking a question of Nehemiah. Mi Tarminan, can you use it as Truma? Can you make this water that was revealed as truma? Vatanya says Tormi minatame ala tame. You can take something tamei and make it truma on something else that's tamei. Tahor, and take something that's not tamei or something that's pure and make it truma for something else that's also pure. And you can take something that's pure and make it truma for something that's tamei. You cannot take something that's tamei and make it truma something tahor because that's just not fair. The tahor is useful. You give something the kohen useful, and you're going to make something tamei truma instead of something tahor. That's cheating, and you can't do that. Rabbi Nechemia says, "Af min tamei al tamei lo yitiru lichom." Even something tamei on something tamei, you're not allowed to do el b'shal demai. Only when the whole thing is in doubt. When a chumrah. Basic rule of truma is you're supposed to take it right away. There's certain people that were not so particular about taking truma. Amaratzim didn't know the halacha, didn't understand it's so important. So truma itself they took, but all the other gifts they didn't take. And therefore, when you buy food from them, you have to. Most of the time they did, but sometimes they didn't. You buy food from an Am Haaretz, you have to go ahead and take meiser yourself because you don't know whether they did or not. But since most of the Amaratzim did, it's only rabbinic obligation. And therefore, there's certain leniencies they have in it because most likely it's unnecessary anyway. Again, because the Amaritz, most of the time they separate. Enough of them don't separate the meiser that we say you should do it when you buy it from them, you should do it yourself. But since it's most likely unnecessary, then we have many leniencies about it. And this would be one that you can use something tamei on something tamei because anyway, probably the Kohen is not getting stolen. The Kohen is not losing money because probably the Amaritz already gave him his share. So then we're not so worried about ruining the Kohen's money. You're just doing to make sure you don't violate the prohibition of eating it. Either way, that you're not obligated to give it. The halach in general with demai, since you're not sure you owe it, comes to a prohibition, you're not allowed to eat tevel. That's something has that truma and meiser taken from. You can't eat it until you take away the truma and meisers. But monetarily, you say, prove to me that this is truma and meiser, then I'll give it to you for free. I can't eat it because it's truma. I'll sell it to you. Meiser, you can just keep yourself, even though you're supposed to give it to a Levi. So Levi, prove to me this is actually meiser, and I'll give it to you for free. You can't prove it to me. I'm just going to keep it. In terms of the prohibition, then there's no such thing as majority. If there's any kind of reasonable doubt that it might be prohibited, then you have to say it's asa. But when it comes to monetary law, then possession is 9/10 law. Prove to me that I owe this money. So when it comes to taking truma, if you're not even sure you're obligated to take it, or let's say truma's meiser, the truma from the meiser, because like I said, Amaratzim did take truma, but meiser they didn't take, and the truma from the meiser, 10% of the 10th, tithe of the tithe, that they didn't take, and that's what we say. You can keep that for yourself, and therefore we're not worried about losing the money. So if it's tamei, go ahead and use it for tamei. But if it's tahor, you cannot take something. You say if it's 100% certain, called vadei tevel, you can't take that. Then when it's tamei, Rabbi Yechemia himself says, when it's tamei, you cannot take that and give it to a kohen.
Page position, please, Rabbi. First word on the line.
So we did the litrom el b'shel demai. Okay. So lo atir litrom el b'shel demai. So Rabbi Yechemia said you can only take truma tamei with demai. But our the last price we quoted, Rabbi Yechemia says you can do it. So what's going on here? So the answer is hachanami shel demai. Oh, we're talking about demai here. This brisa we said you can do it. Only true about demai. Only true about demai. And we're asked, says Omar. We said earlier, Hashem and lo yazek. When it comes to oil and it's tamei, and it's broken, you cannot make it truma because you're losing money for the kohen. And what's the difference between oil, the roy lahadlik, then that's fit to light, yain nami, wine also roy lazilu. If you can use it, you can pour it out. Why do we say by oil you should not use it in such a way that it's getting ruined? But why do we say go ahead and do it in a way that's getting ruined? Why is also useful? The ziluf is pouring out wine for the smell. That's useless. But Shmuel says Mishum Rabbi Chia, in the name of Rabbi Chia, shows to me lug basela. If you can afford to, if they find wine to buy a seller for a lug of wine, that's worth it. And if you want to pour out wine, lug b'shtayim for 2 sellers. Means ziluf, the benefit of ziluf is twice as much as the benefit of actually drinking the wine. So you can't tell me that ziluf is useless and we're not worried about ruining ziluf. The wine is even more valuable to pour out than it's to drink. Which says Hachamai. So then why are we not worried about the wine getting ruined if it's wine, but oil we're worried, but why not? So the answer Hachamai Eskinin is the case talking about Mechadish. The wine is new wine. You have to wait till it really ferments properly before you can use it for ziluf. If it's just grape juice, smelling grape juice isn't going to do anything for you. The halal roy liyashno, but you can wait till it ferments. So eventually we turn into wine. So then what? Again, you're causing loss. So no, ultimately they call it kind of come to trouble. You have grape juice sitting around that you can't eat because it's truma tame. You're going to come to eat it eventually. Since you're going to eventually come to eat it, then you're going to. We say you're not allowed to save it at all. Since you're not allowed to save it, then you're not causing any loss to the Kohen because he's not going to get any benefit from it now. Oil also, you're going to come to eat the oil. So why are we not worried about giving the Kohen the oil that's tameh? He may end up eating it. Answer is no. You get a disgusting vessel. The vessel has some grime on it that's not fit for human consumption. So when it comes to eating, you're never going to eat from this. You come to using it in the fire, it's not too bad to use in a fire. So that's the solution for oil. Therefore, since you can give it to the Kohen, he'll put it in a vessel that's dirty, so he won't drink it. You're not worried about him accidentally drinking or cooking with it, whatever. But he can still burn it, get a benefit from it. But wine, you can't do that now. Why not? Why don't you put the wine in a dirty vessel? Then you won't come to eat it. It says now. Ziyav kaboyle. You want to pour it out. You want to get that benefit of smelling it. You're going to put in this dirty vessel. It's going to ruin it for pouring it out. Oil, it doesn't matter if it's dirty to use, but when you're pouring this wine and smelling it, it has some dirt mixed in. It's just going to ruin the whole purpose of it. Which says in general, but the debate about whether we're worried that you're going to come to use it, you're going to come to eat it. That itself is a debate. Titania, the Brisa says. Chavis shel yayin shel truma. You have a barrel of truma wine. The shenitmas like gatame. V'shamei omrim tishbach hakol. Pour it all out. V'shel omri Hizil says tasa ziluf. You can use it with ziluf. You can pour it in a way that you'll get a benefit from it. Save it until you can pour it and you benefit from it. You don't have to destroy it. Omri Rabbi Yishmael says. Rabbi Yossi, the Yishmael son of Yossi says, Ani achriya. I am going to be the deciding factor within this debate. Meaning, Shammai says, get rid of it, and Beis Hillel says you can save it. Yishmael says, I can thread the needle between them. The bias, if it is in the house where right now, as it is, you could pour it out to use for ziluf. Ziluf, then you should use it in ziluf. Beis Hillel is right. Sadai, but if the wine became tummy in the field, tishboch, you have to pour it out because you're gonna. By the time you bring it in the house, you're gonna end up forgetting that it's tummy, and you're gonna end up using it. Pour everything out. Or another version of what Rabbi Yishmael Rabbi Yossi said. The yashan, if it's old and you can use it right now for pouring out for the ziluf, tasa ziluf, then you can do the ziluf. The chadash is new wine that you can't use right away. Pour everything out, you can't save it. Amallah said back to him, this third opinion does not actually tip the scales. Meaning, there's a general principle that the way Rashi explains it, Tosfos is saying differently. I'm just going to stick with Rashi. But majority rules. So if 2 of the 3 rabbis say the wine is old, and one rabbi that you can keep it, and one rabbi says even when it's old you can't keep it, then that should be halacha. 2 out of 3 rabbis say if the wine is new, we're worried about using it, you have to get rid of it, and one rabbi disagrees, then we should go follow the majority. So we have 2 opinions that argue, and one opinion says I agree half with you, half with you. That would be called the das shlishis, and the opinion should be like the das shlishis because whichever side he says is on the majority. What our Gemara is saying, that's only true when the first 2 opinions discuss both cases. So if Rabbi A said whether in case 1 and case 2, I say it's aser. Rabbi B says whether in case 1 and case 2, I say it's mutter. And Rabbi C says, no, case 1 is mutter, case 2 is aser. Then you say each case he's deciding his side is the majority. But when the first 2 rabbis just say, I say it's always aser, I say it's always mutter, so the fact they have not even talked about this distinction, then there's no room in their argument to distinguish between it. So this rabbi says aser no matter what. This rabbi says mutter no matter what. I say half and half. Well, neither of those rabbis agree with me, as they hold there's no logic to distinguish between them. If the rabbi said in case 1 and case 2 it's aser, that means the rabbi was at least considering a possibility that the halacha of case 1 and case 2 are different. I say whether it's case 1, whether it's case 2, it's usher. That means he was at least considering that it would be usher in case 2 and mutter in case 1. The fact you just said, but if he says plain, it's always usher. You don't see anywhere that he has any logical distinction between case 1 and case 2 that you should be able to say, I agree with you about case 1, but I disagree with you about case 2. He says, no, case 1 and case 2 are exactly the same. So the fact that someone's coming along and being in the middle doesn't help us. So, but the bottom line here we're saying is that can you save it? So Beis Hillel, if he says you're allowed to save it, we're not so worried about it being saved, about you coming to drink it. Beis Shammai says we are worried about it being ruined. And Yossi says sometimes we're worried about being ruined, sometimes not. Okay, new discussion. The Mishnah said, "Im amar lo atzil shlocha, I'll save yours and you pay me my losses." Zamai. Why does he have to pay him? Why does the owner have to pay him? The name you should tell him, "Shatini bach, I was just tricking you. You're trying to charge me too much. I agreed with you just to trick you, but I'm only going to pay the amount I should owe you." Me and Lutanya, don't we have a brisa that says, he's running away from jail. He escaped from jail. Yes, he's wrongfully imprisoned. He's escaping from jail, and they're obviously chasing after him. By some maboris in front of him, there's a boat in front of him in the river. Amarlo says, "Tul din, I'll pay you a dinar of avarini and break me across the river. I'm desperate to get out of here." When he gets to the other side, he wants to pay him a standard fee for taking something across the boat or across the river. You don't need to pay extra. Alma, you see from here, when you overcharge for something, you say, "No, sorry, I was just tricking you. I'm only paying you what it was actually worth. The service was actually worth."
But didn't he just commit ahead of time to pay?
So even if
his decision to offer more.
So it sounds like he's offering. I don't know if he's actually offering, and just that's what the person was not willing to give him until he agreed to that amount. But either way, since that's not a reasonable rate, the person should have done the service for even less than that. You normally transport people standard rate that's much less than a dinar. So the fact that he's charging a dinar now, you can say just because he sees me running with the police behind me, he says, "Okay, a dinar." Hey, that's not fair. He's overcharging because he knows I'll pay it. I'm desperate enough. You're not obligated to pay the extra. So why in our case can't you say that and say, "No, I'm not paying you more than your wages"? Or it says, "No, halo dami, our case is not so elazay for the second half of that price we just quoted. Im amar lo, he says, "Tul dinar, he says, "Take this dinar as your salary and bring me across," then you do have to pay him. Now, my generation say, what's the difference in this case? It sounds like the exact same thing. I'll pay you a dinar and you'll take me, or take a dinar for your wages and you'll take me. So what's the difference? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Leib says the second case is a fisherman, a little hunter, shalek dagim in the yam, who's fishing fish from the sea. The Amar Lei, the Bachat and the Dalit, the Amar Lei tells them, "Afsatani kivra b'zuz, you cost me a zuz worth of fish. I'm only willing to take you across if you pay me my losses." In that case, you actually are obligated, even though the price of the fish that he would have made is more than what a normal person would charge to take someone across. So really shouldn't have to pay more than what he would pay to take someone across. However, since the person says, "I'm actually losing fish because I'm helping you out, I'm not interested in helping you out. I want to go fishing and make some money. You want me to take you across instead? Pay me the money I would make fishing." Bringing people is not as lucrative, but plenty of people do that. So the person is not planning on fishing, and just pay him the cost of bringing people across. But if he's planning on going fishing, he cost him his ability of fishing. You're willing to pay much more than the service is worth because you're desperate, and he actually did lose that money. You have to pay. Same thing in our Mishnah. The service he's providing, he's suffering loss. He's losing out his wine. So I can say, "Reimburse me for the wine I'm losing." I'm not overcharging the service. Yes, the cost, the amount you pay someone to save your honey is trivial, but I have expenses. I can only save your honey if you pour out my wine. That's a real loss. You have to cover my losses as well. You can make that. You can make the declaration. As long as you make that declaration, the person is obligated to do that. The next case, Shat of Nar Chamoro, the water flooded and sent away his donkey, and his friend's donkey. Shlo Yafamana, his worth 100. The Mishnah continued that his friend's worth 200. and he saved his friend's donkey, he only gets paid his salary. But if he said, I'm going to save yours, if you pay me the value of my donkey, then he's to pay him the value of his donkey on top of the wages for saving it. So it's tzricha, and it's necessary to teach both cases. The Ashmain and Kamai. So we have the first case of the wine and the honey. Hasimu, in that case, the Kiparish, when he said specifically, I want to get paid, Yavle, dummy, Kule, you have to pay the full value. I'm actively rooting my wine. That's when I have the ability to say, I want my to get paid. But in this case, the donkey, to Mamela, I'm just letting my donkey ruin. Name, I could have said, even when I say I want to get paid for my donkey, the fact that I just didn't chase my donkey, maybe I wouldn't get paid. That's why I'm saying, no, even in this case, you get paid if you tell him you want to get paid. Yishmin and Seifin have said the second case about the donkey, we would have thought, that's when it's passive, because it's passive, that's when without specifying you don't get paid. But Hassan, when the case of the wine, when he poured out proactively, I would have said, I would think that even if I don't make a specification, I have to pay me the whole thing because I'm actively damaging myself on your behalf. In that case, you have to reimburse me even if I don't specify. So it's necessary to say both cases. Yeah, some interesting questions here. Boy mine Rav Kana me Rav. Rav Kana asked the following question from Rav. Now, now Rav Kana was a student of Rav. We'll see. I don't think we'll get to today, but in the next talk we'll see a fun story about that. But Rav Kana was a student of Rav. He asked the following question: Yared lahatzil. He went to save his friend's donkey. Pa'ala shalom elav, and his donkey ended up surviving miraculously. He didn't end up losing his money. So he said, pay me for my donkey, I'll save your donkey. And then his donkey doesn't get lost. So does he get that payment or not? And so Amar says, Amar Lei, Rav answered, Mishmaya Racham Lei. From heaven they had mercy on him. Meaning he gets double. He gets paid for the loss of his donkey, but he doesn't even lose his donkey. He sacrificed his donkey, therefore he gets paid. He said, I'm charging you the price of 100 zuz because that's the price of my donkey. And my donkey is going to get ruined because I'm helping you. And the end of the day, the fact his donkey didn't ruin, he was not overcharging the service he provided because he was expecting a loss. In fact, he didn't lose any money. That's a gift from heaven, and he's going to end up profiting off the situation. You see a similar episode with Rav Safra. He's traveling in a caravan. There's a lion that accompanied them as their guard against robbers. There's a wild lion that they somehow came to an agreement with that it would help them. But what did they do to pay the lion? Every night they gave him the donkey, they sent the donkey out to the lion to eat. The lion would eat it up. Came out his mind to Rav Safra, and as Rav Safra was trying to send out his donkey, he sent out his donkey below Achle. And the lion didn't eat it, wasn't hungry that night. Rav Safra went and grabbed it and took it. So you see that having got it, Rav Safra was supposed to lose money, and he didn't. The lion wasn't hungry. Shem took care of Safra, so he didn't lose his money. Now, Amalei Rav Acham Difti the Ravina, Rav Acham Difti said to Ravina about the story, Lamalei Miskebe, why does he have to go and take possession of it again and reacquire it? Nehidhi Afgrei Adaita the Aryes, even though he said it's available to the lion, he made a hefker for the lion, he made it available to the lion. He didn't have money, anyone else could grab it, so why does he have to go and take possession? It was his the whole time. Amalei said to him, Ravina said back to him, he just did it to make sure there's no doubt about it. In case someone argued and said, no, it was hefker, he wanted to make sure he was the first one to grab it, to say, no, this is mine. There's no point arguing with me. But you see from here that if you sacrifice your thing, you're expecting a loss, but it ended up not happening, then you don't lose any rights because of that. Rav mi Rebbe. Rav asked the question to Rebbe, going up a generation. Yari lahatzil, he went down to save the donkey below it, so and he failed in his mission. Mahu, does he get paid? Amarle, he said to him, Zu Shela, this is a question. Only gets paid the wages, the amount of work he gets paid for the time he spent trying to save it. You have a legitimate shot at saving it, so you can't not pay him for his work. You can't pay him the extra 100 for his donkey because he said, reimburse me for expenses, I'll save yours. Well, you didn't save mine, so why should I pay you for your expenses? Ezra challenged that. So someone hires a worker, they crew a Damascus in the chola, they bring some kind of produce for a sick person. Kruva is always get kruv and charuv mixed up. Kruv is cabbage, I believe, and dermaskin is prushim, which is what Rashi says shizifim, which in modern Hebrew is plums. I don't know if it's actually plums or not, but in modern Hebrew shizifim is plums.
Yeah, here they call it prunes.
Prunes, okay. Lachola for a sick person. So I say, I'm hiring you to go bring me these produce to help the sick person get better. They went, and Matzah Shemez, by the time he got back, he had passed away. Or the opposite, he got better. He doesn't need this medicine anymore. You went to get this medicine for him. He's either dead or all better. You still have to pay him a full salary. So what's the difference? He did not he did not do what you asked him to do, but you have to pay him. In our case, he didn't do what he asked you to do. You don't have to pay him. Midami, is it similar? So in that case, he did what is asked upon him. He said, go bring it to me, he brought it to him. In fact, you're not getting benefit from it. Too bad. I did my job. Here, the messenger, the agent, did not do his job. He did not save it. Therefore, he doesn't get paid the extra wages just for his time. We have a bunch of interesting business cases now, or monetary cases. If you have a caravan traveling in the wilderness, the Torfa, and some kind of bandit group came to attack it. They calculate any expenses they have. They calculate based on their amount of investment. And don't count based on people. So any losses, they bribe them and say, okay, you leave us alone, you don't kill us, we'll give you such and such money. You divide the money. You do not divide up based on lives, because the risk of life was not so great in this case. So since the risk of life wasn't so great, you don't say, well, my family is 7 people, but not much money. So we say, okay, we didn't get much benefit from this. Even though we have 7 people, we don't have much money. You don't say you calculate the family of 7 people, they have to pay more. The imsachar tire, but if the caravan needed to hire a guide through the wilderness, it's going to travel in front of them and show them the way. Then you do calculate based on people. If you get lost in the wilderness, that's life-threatening, and therefore, even since there's a risk to life here, and a larger family, even if they don't have much money with them, you also calculate based on the potential loss to life. So you have both calculations. You do a calculation based on money, calculation based on life. How these two fit together, I don't know. But you have these both calculations in order to figure out what portion of the salary each party is going to pay. And don't change from the custom of the donkey drivers. Whatever was done in that place at that time, that's what you should follow in these things. The donkey drivers are allowed to say to make a condition that anyone who loses his donkey, everyone else is going to chip in and replace your donkey. Basically, an insurance policy, group insurance policy. If any one of our group loses a donkey, we're going to equally share in the loss, and we'll buy your new donkey. The kusya, if he was negligent in causing his own donkey that lost, then no, you don't get reimbursed. So the kusya is not negligent, then they have to bring him a new donkey. He said, Tanuli, give me a donkey, give me the calorie. I'm still going to take my turn guarding all your donkeys. Ain't shuman lo. They don't listen to him because they want him to go out and guard with more energy. We have a group of people and they all have donkeys, then each one's getting more vigilant, they're going to do it. This guy lost his donkey, says, just give me cash instead. He's not going to be so vigilant. He doesn't have as much to lose from the donkey getting ruined. There's no donkey that's going to be at risk. Therefore, we say, no, we're not we're going to buy you a donkey. The reason we're providing this for you is because we're getting benefit out of it too. But we're not giving you cash. So the pshit is obvious. Of course not. They're getting benefit because he's guarding. So what's the case that we need to say that you don't give him cash? He already has another donkey. This is the second donkey he got ruined. So he already has a donkey. Matem, what would you have thought? He's guarding anyway because he's one donkey. Mashlan, that's what I teach us. Shining tears to the chad and tears to the beit tray. Guarding one donkey is not the same as guarding 2. He's 2 donkeys. He's going to be extra vigilant, and therefore he can't say I want cash. So I only have 1 donkey. It's too hard for me to get handled having 2 donkeys. And no, we're going to give you 2. You're going to be extra vigilant. Yeah, it's going to be hard. Too bad. We're getting benefit from you extra vigilant. Therefore, we're going to buy you another donkey, and that's the only way we're paying.
More kids.
Okay. Yeah. Itanarman, Bryce says, you have a boat that's traveling in the sea. And some kind of wave comes to sink it. And you lighten the load. You calculate how much people should throw based on weight, not based on value. For example, if someone has 1,000 pounds of gold, someone else has 1,000 pounds of iron. 1,000 pounds of iron is worth far less than 1,000 pounds of gold. You don't say, I'll throw off $200 of gold and you throw off $200 of iron. No, you say by weight. Now, you could probably make some kind of deal with him and say, look, why should I waste the gold? I'll tell you what, I'll buy, we're throwing off 200 pounds. I'll buy 200 pounds of iron with you and I'll throw off the iron. Maybe you could do such a thing. And then you can say, I'm going to throw off my weight. But if you don't do that, you can't say I have more stuff. So I'll take more of a, why should I throw out as much? No, you calculate the weight. And so he's going to end up having, at least, even if he makes a deal, he's going to have to spend some extra because his weight is equally damaging as the iron weight. And you don't change from the meaning of the boat drivers. The boat drivers can make a condition. Whoever lost their boat, the group will buy another one. If you lost it with negligence, you don't give him a new one. You don't buy him a new boat. Because it's not negligent. You do give him a new one. The and he brings his boat in a place that the boats don't normally go. You don't buy him a new boat. Of course, he should have no business going there. That's called negligence. What's the case that's not fully negligent to bring it where the boats don't go? In the spring, now, for some reason here it says the Nissan, right? In Nissan, the river is deep. So you only have to go out a little bit. The water is deep. It's in the end of the winter season. There's a lot of water there. So you only go out a little bit. They go out one ushla into the water. The Tishrei, but in Tishrei where it's dry, the end of the dry season in Eretz Yisrael and surrounding areas, they go two ashli, go further in. Yomi in Nisan, and in Nisan he went, but Makom Tishrei deeper in the water, like he goes in Tishrei. So modern day, what would I have thought? Davshin Nakiv Azal. He's going just taking his habit, and therefore it's not considered negligence. Therefore, you would have to reimburse him. Mashnei said, no, still you should have known it's Tishrei. You shouldn't go that deep. The water, so it's the other way. In Tishrei, you don't need, in Nisan, you don't need to go that deep. You went in a place too deep, and it's your own fault that you lost it. Should we stop? Yeah, I guess we should stop here.
Can you just collect the question that we're answering right now?
So there's no particular question. We're just going through many basic halachas of partnerships and traveling together. So the last thing we said was, if they have a condition that if someone loses their boat, you replace it.
Yeah. And
he was negligent and he brought it to the middle of it went out too deep in the water. That's called negligence. And right. So he said, that's obvious. Of course, that's called negligence. No, he went out at a time of year that he normally doesn't go out to a place that sometimes he does go out. You could have thought that's not so much negligence. That wasn't so negligent. So he said, no, that's still negligence. You should know you're not supposed to go out this time of year that deep.
Mm-hmm.
You could look and say, not so much negligence.
Sure. Whoa. Wow.
Okay, so we're up to Tana Rabbanan, roughly half the way down. Shiara back to caravan. We were talking about boats, now we're back to caravans.